Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, talking and discussing how you can aim for growth in the second part of 2023. We'll just give everyone, let's say, another minute or so for attendees to settle down, and we'll start in a moment. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Now, I think we're getting up to critical mass for attendees for our webinar this afternoon. And I think it's a very important time to consider and discuss not only the challenges, but the opportunities that we'll be facing in the second half of 2023. Let's face it, it's been a difficult, interesting, somewhat challenging previous 6 months, whether it's been additional workloads, reporting, or other economic challenges. But I think it's very important that we always take a positive view in terms of what the future may behold, but also more importantly, really understand in terms of how our clients are feeling, what their opportunities are, their aspirations, and also what we can do as accountants and bookkeepers to drive efficiency, deliver better client value, and basically meet our own goals. So this afternoon, it's just not me, and me is Chris Downing. So I've been at Sage just over 5 years, and I'm the director for our accountants and bookkeepers here at Sage. Prior to that, I was an accountant by trade for nearly 20 years, and my role is very much to understand the challenges which you're facing, but more importantly, advocate and describe and bring to life the opportunities which exist in the ecosystem and get the best use out of technology to actually drive and delight client experiences and also ultimately be more efficient and better accountancy firms. I'm joined today by my colleague Brian. Brian, do you want to say hello and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Chris. Brian Carolan here. As it says, I'm one of the product owners here in AutoEntry. Have been with AutoEntry actually with the company since before AutoEntry was officially launched back in 2015. And I work very closely with our development teams and our customers on developing AutoEntry going forward and great new products and features that we can build for it.
Thank you, Brian. So what do businesses will be expecting in the second part of 2023? So as you may expect, Sage really puts an awful lot of effort to really understand what's happening in the economy globally, but also more importantly, UK-wide. And we perform research, we interview small business owners, we also interview accountants to really understand the sense of what's happening in the market, what are they confident about, what are their opportunities, and what are their challenges. Sage has recently published some research where we were speaking to thousands of small business owners, and this included over 2,000 business owners in the UK. What the insights are really interesting from this, because it's telling us that your clients are really quite bullish about 2023. They have plans to grow. This includes increasing their revenue, i.e. the turnover, but also their employee numbers. So despite the background of increasing inflation, the challenges of imminent interest rates increasing, plus also the general cost of living and energy costs, business owners have confidence in terms of what their future may be. And this may be because they are using digital tools, they have awareness of their business performance, but more importantly, also thinking about how they are using tools to be a little bit more productive, a little bit more efficient, also more importantly, resilient, because we do not know what's going to happen in the future. But if you are resilient and you have a plan and you're able to adapt and pivot in terms of changes, you're likely to have that element of confidence to actually cope with whatever the future may behold. So when we consider the conversations which we're having with our clients, I think it's useful to also advocate your understanding what's happening in the economy. Because if you have clients who are nervous, they're concerned, they're thinking about how they can meet their payroll needs or pay the VAT return or think about investing in the business itself, it's worthwhile advocating in terms of what the general trend is in the economy, just to sort of bolster their own confidence, and also for them to actually seek out what opportunities which may lie behold them, and also what they can get out in the future. But clearly the statistics are showing that businesses are competent and expect to be confident growing into 23 and out of it into next year. But also it's the fact that the cost of the business crisis in terms of cost of living is going to improve. And I think this comes down to good awareness in terms of reducing energy costs, but clearly we need to be mindful about the cost of interest to businesses who are heavily in debt. So when we think about the role that you play, it's important to understand what are the drivers which actually creates this confidence with your clients. Now, if you may be surprised that why your clients are so confident, but the top key drivers are the fact they are feeling efficient, they are feeling productive. They feel that whatever activities they do perform, they're performing those efficiently. And whether they are performing themselves as a sole practitioner, employing no staff, or businesses who are employing people, they feel that the staff that are employing are of high quality, high caliber. They are understanding how to use the tools they've got, able to work effectively, whether they're selling on the shop front, whether they're in manufacturing, whatever they do, they feel they're able to perform their job in an efficient manner, being more productive. But also they're realizing the fact that talent is key, and keeping on top of education and research and understanding, and ensuring where the staff need to learn more and fulfill themselves more, providing that education is really important to actually get the best out of the tools that they may be using. Now, this wouldn't be a webinar about technology unless we could actually bring in technology theme. And as you can see from the chart on the screen, yes, the confidence is around the quality of staff and the business growth, but also adopting technology within the business. And this probably comes down to using the right technology, which will increase productivity and also attract and delight the right customer base. So when you think about your customers, your clients, it's important to understand how you can actually assist and support your clients. Now, your clients possibly do not have a problem with accounting or bookkeeping, because that's not their key driver. As accountants, we probably think about that's the most important thing in the minds of the small business owners. But effectively, the key priority to them is they want to get paid fast or paid quickly. So if they're raising invoices, they want to raise them with confidence. They also be raising confidence that they'll get paid in a timely manner, if not instantly. Business owners want to be better organized. It's not just about keeping on top of receipts and paperwork. They want to understand how much stock they've got, where the stock is, and also keeping organized in terms of their finances. It's a case of actually who do they owe what money to, who owes them money, but also understand their own business performance. This naturally comes down to actually having access to the right information. Now, as we could see from the previous slide, business owners want to adopt the right technology, or technology that drives efficiency. And this getting access to the best tech is really where accountants and bookkeepers have a really important role, because you are speaking to business owners day in, day out. You're understanding the technology they're using and also the application of that technology to improve their own business processes. So therefore, you're naturally going to be the first port of call for small business owners when they seek out what technology should I use to improve my own business. Now, tax comes in all shapes and sizes and pain points and regulatory reporting needs. Whether it's CIS, VAT, income tax, or corporation tax, compliance isn't getting any easier. Tax rates are increasing, and the complications around the complexity is always ever changing. So it is unsurprising small business owners have an element of anxiety and possibly fear of tax, but more importantly, want to get the tax right. And this is the mainstream of where accountants play in terms of ensuring that your clients are actually informed of what taxes to be paid. But the important thing is actually what needs to be paid and how much. And timeliness of information and informing them of when the liability is due and what is due is incredibly important, especially when tax liability can represent the largest liability of a small business owner. And if they're not getting information about that liability, maybe 6 or 9 months after the year end, how are they supposed to save and for that tax liability, hence the need to have really good visibility in their own finances. Business owners love doing business. Finances are not, or doing numbers is not what they went into business to do. And this is where you're great at actually translating the numbers into information and an understanding which actually they can react on and actually manage their business forward. Businesses are naturally growing, and with that growth, they'll be taking on employees. Payroll isn't easy. It can be a bit of a hassle. It is something which has to happen regularly, has to be reported regularly as well, but also it needs to be performed right. The way that an employee feels when they get their pay slip, they will always look at the tax being deducted, and they want to have the reassurance that it's being deducted at the right levels. But also, as businesses grow and they take on more staff, they want to ensure that the staff can work collaboratively, but also be informed and engaged. And this is where you as accountants and bookkeepers have the tools available, and plus the awareness and the experience to encourage business owners to share the right information at the right time, but also get them to use the technology to actually enhance the experience of the employees. So though we are only just halfway or starting the H2 or the second half of 2023, I still believe that 2023 remains a year to grasp, plan and execute and use technology in a way which will really transform business needs, business opportunities, but also the growth of small business generally. So this is where we'll hopefully go through a few themes which will take note and help you improve the conversations which you have with your clients. Now, one of the key trends was around employee productivity and the talent and how they use it. But also we need to be thinking about the clients which you will be working with as an accountant. Because when you consider the new clients you're onboarding and taking on, whether established firms, we also need to be thinking about the new generation. And the new generation, the Gen Zers of today, are actually about 26 years old, and they're starting businesses right now. So if they're not your business today or your clients today, they'll certainly be clients in the near future. So it's really important to understand the nature and the personalities and their needs of these Gen Zers who are effectively born after 1997. Now, Sage has been working with Will Farnell, who originally published The Digital Firm, and the new book, which he's published in conjunction with Sage, The Human Firm, describes and annotates and brings to life millennials and Gen Zs. He explains how they will form over 70% of the workforce and a sizable proportion of all clients by 2025. They have a different set of expectations, and their lifestyle priorities cannot be currently met by traditional firms. What this means is that accountancy firms need to evolve, they need to adapt, and really take and consider the needs of Gen Zers, and also be important the fact that the role of how Gen Zs use technology is part and part of their everyday life. They have probably got a mobile phone when they were teenagers, if not younger. The first thing they think about when getting new information, maybe not a newspaper, but possibly TikTok or Instagram. And the world's population will naturally become a majority of Gen Zers before we know it. But also the nature in terms of how they set up in business. Once upon a time, they may have set up a business bank account or come to a company's house to create a business, but actually they're thinking about the experience of their customers and their own clients. And they'll probably be registering on Facebook or Instagram before they actually set up a proper business structure. So it's really important to understand the needs of Gen Zers and actually how you wish to interact with them and also win them as clients. I said that Gen Zers have a bit of a digital first approach, and digital first is meaning the data flow and being digital at all points. So whether you're actually interacting with the client for the very first time in terms of how you're marketing yourself as a practice, whether that's on your website or your social media feeds, when you think about when that client or prospect engages with you and you're seeking and really sharing your quote for services, when you think about how you actually collaborate with them, share information, whether that's bookkeeping or information about what work or documents or management information, it's all going to be digital. It's all going to be a really light touch. The ability to share information on a mobile or browser, the ability to not actually be reliant on any post or any manual approaches. But the key thing is how do you share data in a really seamless way. Now, clearly we have earthquake events such as making tax digital, and MTD for VAT was really that first stepping stone and encouraging businesses to be digital first. But also it demonstrated the fact that sharing information should be digital, and it should involve actually no manual data entry. For example, copying and pasting wasn't required. But when we think about the future of MTD, MTD ITSA, that hasn't gone away. It is be inevitable, and it will encourage small businesses to be digitally savvy, whether they wish to or not. But what we do know is Gen Zers are being digital on the day one. They want to run their businesses immediately. They want to be using technology to be more automated, more proficient, and more efficient. But also they want to gather the answers. They want to make decisions with confidence. They want to have access to the accounting data, and they do not want to be dealing with paperwork. They want to be in digital wherever they can. So being digital first as an accounting firm will encourage and attract those clients who are also digital themselves. Because when you consider how you approach the day-to-day work you do as an accountant, it's really important to consider what is the DNA of your practice. What is your approach in terms of using information? What is your approach in terms of capturing information? And these days, you should discourage and try and mitigate, where possible, any manual data entry. These days, we shouldn't be rekeying a bank statement to Excel or into a piece of accounting software. We shouldn't be rekeying a paper purchase invoice into software either. All of this can be captured digitally. It can be read and turned into data and passed into a bookkeeping solution automatically. Naturally, this makes you more efficient, more productive, but also in terms of the work that you're performing and the work that you use and the data and the reports you use to actually convey your advice and guidance, you have greater confidence in the accuracy and the quality of the information you have. Because clients are wishing to have access to information which they can rely upon, and they will want to be seeking out advice and guidance in terms of how to perform better. And as accountants, we're naturally risk averse, and we like to have all the information to hand before we give an answer or provide any guidance at all. So trying to alleviate any pain points in manual data entry will provide you the confidence that you can actually deliver a really quality service with all the data and information you have to ensure that you feel confident in terms of the better decisions you may be advising your clients with as well. So that's the background of the matters today, and actually what the needs of clients are today as well as tomorrow. So this is where I'll hand over to my colleague, Brian, who will take us through to this next session. So just bear with me. So there we go. So Brian, over to you, please. What are your insights in terms of how accountants and bookkeepers are using technology?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. I better jump in quick before people look at this screen and think I'm going to suggest a Curta adding machine from the 30s. But the point of this is that we can look at very first on the way technology has changed and has expanded over the years within both bookkeeping and accounting practices and within the business itself. There's a quick little timeline there, and you can kind of see there was the original Curta, which if anyone ever gets their hands on one, they're actually really, really cool little things. That was way back in the 30s. The 50s, the huge big room-sized IBMs came along. 70s, the handheld calculator came along. Late 70s, the first versions of spreadsheets with Excel coming along in the 80s. And of course, your first desktop computers with the personal computer appearing in offices. So, and as we look at today and going forward, there's quite a shift, maybe every decade or so. Over the last couple of decades, it's been taking a bit of a jump and a bit of a jump and a bit of a jump. But now we're looking at kind of where we're heading towards massive shifts, paradigm shift within the business, specifically with the oncoming AI, such as ChatGPT, automating some of those processes that you'd normally be doing on a day-to-day basis. But the whole point is to try and remove some of those kind of the drudge tasks, I suppose, from what your day-to-day task is. So what has this meant for us? Chris, if you want to just jump on to the next slide there, cheers. So what has this meant for us? Well, the whole point of using technology is within those three diagrams that are there, we want to augment your work and your activities. We want to be able to add to them, and we want to be able to relieve some of the stress off you in doing those tasks. Getting rid of some of those drudge tasks, as I said. An awful lot of the talks I go to have always asked, certainly bookkeepers, did anyone ever grow up dreaming of being a bookkeeper or dreaming of data entry? And not many people say so, but removing that one task gets rid of that. What can be a very monotonous task, and being able to automate that or use technology to cover that will make a massive difference. And of course, helping you do your job, removing the drudge tasks means you're a better practice, you're a happier accountant, you've got happier clients. And the biggest part of it is, of course, the time saving. So I was even doing a talk a couple of weeks ago, and a very small point of how do you extra time. We're all used to doing Zoom calls and everything else. And if you're doing a call with a client and it's an extra maybe 10 minutes on the call, that's okay. I'll jump on to the next call after this. But if you think of how many extra 10 minutes you do, it can be a huge amount of time. So in delighting clients, using technology by digitizing systems and automating some of those tasks that you currently do manually, you can improve the value and the service to your clients. It'll give you an increase in revenue, and of course you'll be able to, with your extremely happy clients, you'll be able to do more with them, more of an advisory role sometimes. You'll obviously be working faster. Your clients will see technically a quicker turnaround time, and you're just doing something in a new or more efficient way. And an awful lot of your clients will be used to some sort of technology or some sort of automation. They might not realize it, but they're probably going to be used to it already in certain areas. An awful lot of them are tech savvy, and an awful lot will start to expect their service providers, i.e. you guys, their accountants, to be doing the same. And if they're not thereabouts, at least they're jumping ahead or getting ready for it. So where does that leave us? If we look at, next slide there, Chris, please. If we look at what the flow of data is, okay, obviously I'm coming from AutoEntry. We are a data extraction app. So we are, our primary task is getting data from a piece of paper into an accounting package. So what we can look at as an example is this flow of data, and we kind of nearly refer to it as a live flow of data, 24/7, always on, because the software and the technology can work for you, so you don't have to. And the big thing is using integrated apps and integrated pieces of technology allows that data to flow seamlessly. So where you might be using one app and it integrates with your accounting package, that data just jumps straight across. And I'm sure everyone on the call, everyone in the webinar has probably got some pieces of software that are already integrated, and you can see how quick that data flows from one to the other. So it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number one, obviously, apps and pieces of technology are all going to be cloud-based. All the data is in one place. All the data is safe and sound. There's no USB sticks. There's no copy and pasting. You're cutting out completely all your Excel spreadsheets and trying to copy and paste Excel results into other pieces of software. Of course, and it's the only time I mention it, with MTD, that won't be possible. You will need to use pieces of technology and pieces of software in order to complete the returns. However, using cloud software cuts out all of that copy and paste and messing about with uploading and downloading. The second one, your accounting software, of course, is an obvious one, whether it's Sage, Business Cloud, QuickBooks, Xero, Cashflow, Free, I've forgotten the other one's gone out of my head. AutoEntry, of course, integrates with all the main accounting packages, and all the main accounting packages integrate with multiple pieces of technology that can improve your process and can automate your service for you. And then thirdly, of course, is your apps and services. So when you're looking at an app or service, of course, you need to make sure that it integrates with the products that you already have. Linking them, or what's called integrating them, allows that data to flow between them all. They'll populate themselves. They'll pre-populate new apps that you bring on board. All your customer data will flow depending on what's needed into each of the apps. So it makes life an awful lot easier. And when you're looking at an app or maybe a practice management system or accounting software, any of the pieces of software that you use, just double check exactly which products they integrate with, and do they integrate with the products that you already use or the apps that you already have. So making sure you're using your data as best as it can be used, that you're not having to move it about manually yourself. So the next step is then to ensure that, the next step is to ensure that you and your clients can basically surf that wave of data. So what we're looking at then is, oh, next slide, Chris, sorry. So what we're looking at then is you've picked out maybe a piece of accounting software or your practice management software, and you want to build a app stack around that. So what exactly is an app stack? I'm pretty sure all of you here, you already use at least one piece of software. And you know, of course, we're all in the accounting sphere. So whether it's Xero or Sage or QuickBooks or a main accounting package, and chances are you use multiples of those packages. It's rare enough. There is some practices who would be Sage only, for example, or Xero only, but majority of practices will use multiple accounting packages across their clients. So you start to build your app stack based on those products. And most of the apps or most of this technology that you look at will all generally integrate with all the main accounting packages. So it's a really nice place to start. So you have one of those packages and it's, you know, valid for making tax digital in a couple of years. It does all the work that you need to do, and it is your main accounting package. What we want to do then is build a suite of apps on top of that that is specific to providing your clients with the service that you need to give them. And these suite of apps is what's called your app stack. And it's kind of crucial that you have a good app stack. It's not, you know, you're not always out there trying to build the best. You know, you just need to get an app stack, a collection of apps that all talk to each other, they all integrate with each other, that services your clients in the best way that you can. What you want to be careful of, obviously, is that they all integrate with each other. They're all cloud connected, so there's no downloading to desktop, there's no uploading, there's no copy and pasting or anything like that. Once they're fully connected, cloud connected, integrated to each other, the data just flows with the click of a button. You'll find that they're all across mobile and desktop. Excuse me, virtually all the apps and all the service providers will have a mobile version of their app. Not only just what you work on your desktop in the office, but when you're out and about on an iPad or a tablet or your mobile phone, you'll generally have a version that you'll be able to work with as well, which also makes a huge impact when you're out with your clients. You don't have to have your full laptops with you all the time. You bump into a client on the street having a coffee, and you can go through a quick question on any of the issues that they might have. Plus, you can pick a mix from different apps. You, again, one from AutoEntry, Chris, obviously, our colleagues in Sage. There is other data extraction apps out there, like there is other accounting software apps out there. You don't necessarily have to pick one and stick with it and be rigid. Try and have an app stack that would suit the old 80-20 rule. 80% of your clients will use that collection of apps and it'll flow seamlessly with them. And you'll always have a couple of outliers that you'll need to have something different for. But more importantly, try and have one app stack that suits the majority of your clients, because this again will save you time. You're not trying to train up on new products, you're not trying to learn new services, you're not trying to use maybe different support teams when you have a question or if you're unsure what the next step is. It makes it easier if you're using the same apps for all of your clients. So next screen there, Chris, thank you. So where do we get these? And this might sound like a fairly obvious question to some people, or maybe a fairly obvious answer to some people, but a lot of people don't realize the app stores and the marketplaces within your accounting software, Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, etc. They all have an app store or marketplace where they list off the relevant apps that do relevant tasks that fully integrate and connect with the accounting package that you're using. This is a really powerful way to go. An awful lot of these stores, there's user reviews and there's star ratings from users that they've rated those apps and how they find them. So you can find out an awful lot. If you're looking at data extraction, for example, you can go in and view all the various competitors to AutoEntry, and of course you're going to choose AutoEntry, but you can see exactly what other apps are out there as well. You can obviously get them in the various app stores, Apple, iOS, and Google Play for your mobile apps. And of course, you can even get them through the Microsoft Windows Store as well. So there's lots of places that they can be got from. Or of course, you can just Google it. Nice and simple. I need help with data extraction, and it'll present a huge amount of options there. Please do always check the reviews. Everyone knows what it's like. You're using booking.com or Airbnb. You always discount the super duper 5 stars, and you always discount the edge case 1 stars who are just angry about something. But read through the reviews. You'll get a good idea what people are using it for. And also the review websites, Capterra, Trustpilot, Google reviews, even an awful lot of people use, where you can get an idea from users what they think of those apps themselves. So how do you decide what's in your app stack? Well, first thing, ask around. I've been to a couple of bookkeeping conferences with Chris over the last month. There's the likes of Accountex in London and Accountex North. There's the digital show was on there a week or two ago. There's lots of shows and lots of events, whether it's local branch meetings of a community or of a group that you're in, whether it's Facebook groups, excuse me, any local meetings, any competitors even that are local to you, ask them what they use. And it's not, what you don't want to come back with is a huge list of apps or products that you need to all of a sudden start researching through and getting free trials and everything else. Ask them not just what they use, but how they use it. What type of clients are they using it for? What type of problem are they solving with that? And as with most of the cloud-based apps, there is a free trial. So always use the free trial first. Give it a quick look. They'll never give you a full taste of what it's like, but they'll give you an idea of running through a couple of tasks with 1 or 2 of your clients, and you'll be able to get on what that app does. And again, within your local business communities, within your Facebook groups, within your organization meetings, ask again. And people are more than happy to talk about this. We can't talk about clients that much. We can't talk about confidential details, but I can talk about how brilliant auto entry is. Oh, sure, it saves me a huge amount of time. That one person will save you hours even just researching what auto entry is. So you'll get a good idea. Ask your colleagues, ask your co-workers. They'll give you the best examples on where to go and what to use. So if we look at a automation process, this is a perfect example. And of course, I'm going to lean on a little bit of bias here. We'll use auto entry as an example and the flow of getting data from your client into your accounts package. So the very first step, your client has a piece of paper, their Vodafone bill has come in this month, and it needs to get into the accounts package. Of automation, your client has a piece of paper, they can snap it through the phone app. It can be scanned on a flatbed scanner. If they bring the piece of paper into you, you of course can scan it. Or if it's already digital, if it was an email from Vodafone, the client or you can forward the email straight to auto entry. So we've got 3 ways we can get that piece of paper converted into a digital piece of paper and upload it into auto entry. What auto entry does, and we'll see at the very end of the webinar, we'll do a quick run through on auto entry itself. But what we do is we then extract all that information. We use AI and machine learning, and no ChatGPT, none of those kind of public versions of AI. It's an AI model that we've built ourselves over the last kind of 5-6 years. So we use all of that magic in the background. We figure out what the key pieces of information are, and we present it back to you in auto entry generally within an hour or two. If it's tax season or at the end of the month or end of the quarter, it can be a little slower, an hour or two. Normally we'll have it back to you much quicker than that, where you can analyze it and click a button and it goes straight through to your accounts package. Now we can go even a step further than that, whereby auto entry can actually fetch the invoice for you in the first place. We'll go to Vodafone and say, hey, have you got John's new Vodafone invoice? Yes, we do. There you go. We'll then extract it, we'll populate it, we'll categorize it because we've remembered what you did last time with Vodafone, and we'll send it straight through to your accounts package as well. And even as it has on the screen over on the far right, the Excel logo, we're fully aware that Sometimes some clients still need a little bit of Excel, even though you should be way off Excel at this stage. But if needs be, you can simply export it into a local Excel file for yourself as well. So all of that information AutoEntry can extract, manage for you, allow you to categorize it and analyze it if required with, as we'll see later on, very, very simple clicks of the mouse, and it can publish straight through to your accounts. So in finishing up my section here, the kind of most important thing is that we're trying to aim to get to this always on data flow, this live data as such, where the software is working for you 24/7. You don't have to always be on it, but all the products you use in the background are running away, making sure that your data is being managed and going where it should do. And what we basically look at is from the left-hand side, on an even higher scale, you have your accounting software in the middle. The data flowing into your accounting software might come from AutoEntry, might be your client's paperwork, invoices and bank statements. If you have bank feeds from your client's banks, absolutely turn it on. AutoEntry, of course, can do your bank statement extraction if you still have clients, either they don't have a bank feed or they're just very paper-based, more traditional clients. But if you have a bank feed available, absolutely, at its most basic, connect the bank to your accounting software. And other data automation can come from multiple areas, can come from other apps. If you're using maybe a timesheet app or a payroll app, they would feed into your accounting software as well. So all those raw pieces of data will end up in your accounting software, which will then give benefits to both you and your clients. Your clients, with your assistance, can show them and help them with capital expenditure decisions, funding and lending applications, even business growth and planning and risk management. Because if you think of it, so for example, if you're doing it the manual way and all the data, your client comes in at the end of the month with a bag full of invoices, and you enter it all into your accounts package on the 1st of the month or the 2nd of the month. And it might take a week, 2 weeks to get through all of your clients' paperwork. And then you can start talking to your clients about how they did last month. It's always been retrospective. You know, you did great in May. Well, that's grand, but it's now the middle of June, or it's nearly the end of June. You know, any chance of telling me how I'm doing now? So the point of this live feed of data, this always on concept, is we're pushing data through, we're fetching it from Vodafone, we're pushing it straight through to the accounts. Your banking transactions are coming straight through, payroll and everything else, all your other data is flowing straight in. So you can open up your Sage Business Cloud Accounting and see exactly how the client is doing effectively today, probably within 24 hours. So you're now seeing a very, very live view of what the client's up to. And you've got a very live view as such of the transaction history. You can see how often they're paying payroll. You can see how often they're purchasing and selling. So any funding or lending applications or any other decisions that need to be made, you can make them on a much more, you have a much more informed basis to make those decisions, because you can see exactly what the client is up to. And of course, the benefits for you guys in the practice, you can grow your practice. We're not aiming to replace anyone in the practice. You know, we're not aiming to take someone's job by introducing automation or introducing a new piece of technology, because you're effectively buying yourselves time. If you use a piece of tech, it takes the manual process away, which now frees up that member of staff to look after other clients, or look after more clients, or look after a different part of the business. That you can build, as it says, building your advisory services, improving your return on investment. You can price more consistently. You can be a lot more confident in telling a client or approaching a new client with exactly how much your service is going to cost. And of course, it simplifies the process, as we mentioned earlier on, aiming to have that one app stack that covers the vast majority of your clients, makes it easier for you in practice to manage and look after all of those clients. So that's the end of my section there for a minute anyway. I'll hand back to Chris. I'll be back. We'll give you a quick look at auto entry at the end of the webinar anyway. But Chris is going to jump in on the impact on what you can do and empowering this transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So when we can grasp that word which Brian said a minute ago, advisory, I believe being digital first, having availability to information, which basically mitigates the unknown to the known, ensuring you have a systemized process of ensuring that actually you've got information to hand on a timely basis, will effectively open the doors to stronger, more constructive conversations with your client. And that's what advisory is all about. It's not about the year-end compliance, the tax, it's having conversations which add value. Those conversations could be around tax planning, it could be around cash flow needs, management reporting, or just about what the client's retirement plans or their goals or their aspirations. At the heart of it, being more informed about how that business is operating, it gives you the guidance as well as the confidence that you have the information all to hand to really add the value. And as Brian has shown in his diagrams, the fact that no matter what data source it is, whether it's paper-based, whether it's electronic from another source, it's all about how do you get data into one place, effectively having a real digital stream of information to hand, which is visible and accessible. This will always add value to your client relationships. And as we know, clients are always seeking more. So therefore, it's a case of when you're thinking about how digital are you, you need to be thinking about how long does it take me to actually get information from my client or from the account system? How up to date is it? Am I spending time to accelerate the data processing? How accurate is the information? Actually, what information am I capturing? I think detail is really important, and the fact that tools like auto entry can surface the descriptions, which basically means that when the information is grabbed and put into the account system, you've got the details as well. So it saves having to go to the original document to be a little bit more informed about the source of it. But also it's a case of the relationship which you have. What is your relationship with your clients? Is it a conversation once a year, a couple of times a year, or do they always rely upon you for advice and guidance? And that closer knitting in between you providing more effective and more efficient advice in terms of how your clients can operate will always make your clients stickier. They'll see more value from you, and it'll be so much easier when you have those conversations with you to actually increase fees, because it's naturally the fact that you'll be thinking about how do you improve the revenue of your practice based upon the amount of effort you're applying to those clients. But also it means when it comes to tax compliance, you're able to deliver the tax numbers on a more timely basis, and also generally manage the expectations of the accounts and the finance teams, because you're thinking about all the numbers and all the processes, all the systems of your clients. But it's thinking about the data which you've got and how you share that data with your clients. Because when you think about data, it needs to be relevant, reliable, it needs to be timely, it needs to be information which can be used. With your accountant's hat on, you're always questioning how complete is it? Have I got all the invoices in? How's the bank being reconciled? Is there anything missing? And then you think about how do I make sense of the numbers? The information which I've got, is it understandable? Can I present it in a user-friendly format? And when the client is discussing with me, will they actually trust the information, and will they actually use the information in a way that actually drives real value? Because at the end of the day, when you think about the needs of business owners, yes, they want to be paid faster, they want to be better organizers, but as we've seen from our research, business owners are confident about growth, they're confident about the future, and they effectively want to use technology better. So we need to think about how can we identify those top opportunities for growth. Is it having more customers, or is it focusing on a certain product or customer set? Is it about actually thinking about how you can use your cost overhead better? What services are they consuming, and are they using them as effectively as possible? But also it's the fact that taxation is always top of mind. It keeps people awake at night, but in having that transparency of business performance, future tax liabilities, means that businesses can plan effectively in terms of cash flow and where their future may be going, understanding you working them with hand in hand to actually ensure they're actually on top of all their taxes, but also reducing the risk as a business. When you consider all the other challenges that are facing small business owners today, it's really important the fact that they have got availability of the right information, and information which they can actually share with their own stakeholders, or basically the right people in the right time. Information is handy, but actually having that knowledge to actually make informed decisions is even stronger and even better. So we've discussed the theory, we've discussed what the sentiment of the market is all about, and we've also discussed how technology can make a real difference. So let's go and take a look at what the technology can do. So I'm going to hand over to Brian, who's going to take control of the screen and take us through what AutoEntry is all about. Over to you, Brian.
Thank you, Chris. I think you should be able to see my screen there now.
Yes, we can.
Super. So this is AutoEntry when you log in. If anyone, hopefully some of you obviously do use it, but as a quick high-level introduction to what something like AutoEntry can do. So again, as I mentioned earlier on, we're dealing with the data extraction, the raw pieces of paper, invoices, bills, receipts, credit notes, both for purchases and sales, bank statements, and even supplier statements as well. We can do a supplier statement reconciliation with your client's invoices. So all of those paper invoices, whether they're snapped by a mobile phone by the client or yourself, scanned on a scanner, or if they're already digital, they're already a PDF, they can simply be emailed into AutoEntry. And what we have down the left here is your list of clients. So each of your clients you'll add to AutoEntry. All we actually need is a company name. You can then connect it to the accounts package you're using for that client, or indeed you can use them as non-integrated if you're just looking to export to Excel, and then we can jump straight in and start using AutoEntry. It is really a 30-second setup per client. So if I click on the client name, it brings us into the main dashboard, main homepage for this client, where we can see the 6 main folders and pretty much the main document types that we accept. Looking at purchase invoices first, once we upload them, we have the upload button top right all the time. You can drag and drop, email, or snap from your phone and forward them from the phone. Once we receive them, we do all the magic in the background, we do the extraction, we do the verification, and within the inbox, we present all these invoices back to you, showing the date, the supplier name, over the right-hand side, your currency, net, VAT, and total. With a brand new invoice or a brand new supplier we've never seen before, we've no remembered settings, so the first time you use AutoEntry, you'll have these 3 blank drop downs for your supplier account, and you simply select the supplier account. And because we're connected to Sage in this case, we pull through your live list of suppliers for that customer. Likewise, we pull through your live list of nominal or category accounts, and we pull through your live list of VAT codes as well. And you simply use the 3 drop downs to select the categorization for that supplier. If I change one, this one, for example, I know this is actually an Irish version, so it has the Irish VAT rates. But as soon as you fill all 3 drop downs in, we'll even ask you if you want to remember it, and we'll save those settings for you going forward. So every time we see KFD Limited, they'll automatically be filled in for you. So you only ever have to use those drop downs once per supplier. We can see some of the big red triangles. We'll even warn you if there's an issue. In this case, AutoEntry does a duplicate check, which is always a mouthful in the morning, at the point of upload, at the point of us extracting it, and at the point that you're publishing it through to the accounts package. We'll check, has this invoice been extracted before? Has AutoEntry seen it before? And before we put it in the accounts package, we even check, is it already in the accounts package? Have you manually entered it last week before you started using AutoEntry this week? So really prevents duplicate invoices getting through to your accounts package as well. And if we click on the view icon, if you need a little bit more detail, we can see, of course, on the right hand side, there's the Vodafone bill, quite clearly photographed through the phone app, and the full extraction on the left hand side. A little bit more granular detail, you can add in a due date, your net, VAT, and total is here. We automatically recognize currency, and if it's a foreign currency, we'll automatically convert it back to sterling. You can mark invoices as paid, so we don't actually do the transfer or transact the payment, but within your accounts package, it'll be marked as paid on the particular date that you've chosen. And of course, even if I zoom in over here, and again, this is just an Irish Vodafone invoice, much like the UK, where there is a VAT summary, where there's multiple VAT rates on the invoice itself, we will automatically break it down per VAT rate, meaning you can categorize it correctly, apply the correct VAT codes. You'll have your net, VAT, and total per VAT rate. already split out for you. And again, once you make these selections, AutoEntry will remember that going forward. So you never have to dive into tax summaries or VAT summaries again. Likewise, if I go back to the list for just one other invoice, the sound supplies invoice, another really powerful tool. If you require the full line items extracted from an invoice as well, that is available, where we'll extract the description, meaning again, you can categorize them with the correct category and VAT code. All the net VAT and totals are calculated here for you, and it's ready for you to publish and move on to the next invoice as well. So whether you're looking for just your simple header, supplier, date, invoice number, net VAT total, if there's a VAT summary there, or if you require your line items as well, AutoEntry will be able to cover all those off for you. And publishing them through, whether it's on the previous page or on this page, you simply click to publish. The lightning bolt there is that we've actually turned it on to auto publish. So part of that automation step I was mentioning, you can turn on, we would always say specifically the likes of your utility bills, electricity, phone, post, gas charges. You're probably looking at 20, 30, 40 bills a month from EE or from Vodafone or from Three. And you don't need to look at the same supplier, granted different client, and you're entering that data over and over and over again. Whereas we can fetch it for you, we can do the extraction, and we can even publish it through for you as well, fully automatically. And you could be in then Sage or Xero, whichever package you're using, and you click refresh when you're working on a client, and all of a sudden a Vodafone bill appears. And you haven't touched anything, you haven't had to go into any other apps, there's no click through, it just automatically appears for you. With the supplier statements, this is a really cool little tool whereby you can, if any of your clients receive supplier statements on maybe a month-end basis or quarter-end, and as a lot of companies do, they just pay the bill or pay the number at the bottom of the supplier invoice, or excuse me, the supplier statement. So they'll pay off 20, 30, 100 invoices all in one go, one payment or one check. Of course, the most important thing is making sure that you did actually receive all of those invoices that the statement says. So when you upload your supplier statement within AutoEntry, if we click in to view it, under the reconciliation tab, we have again extracted everything that was on the statement itself, and we'll automatically match it up to the invoices that are in AutoEntry. And we'll clearly show, well, there's a gap here, so this one has not matched. We can find a match, maybe it's a slightly different date, plus or minus a couple of days, plus or minus a couple of pound. You can ignore it as we did that one down here, or well, we're actually missing that invoice. Check with the client. Yep, got those parts. Cool. I'll create an invoice for you. We'll pop it through to the accounts package. See if you can find the invoice off the supplier, whatever the case may be. So the idea here is that we don't leave you stuck. If there is an invoice that's missing, you're not all of a sudden having to chase down the client to try and find it and what's going on. You can manage it yourself. Come back to it next week, even when you have a bit more time. It's month end and you're trying to close the books. Absolutely, you can keep working and you can chase your client up when you have a bit more free time. With the sales folder, much the same as purchases, obviously, of course, it just goes to the opposite side of the ledger. But the last quick one we'll look at before finishing up is our bank statement folder. As I mentioned, if you have bank feeds available, absolutely turn on the bank feeds. By far and away the most efficient and the easiest piece of automation you can bring into the practice. But if you still have some clients who maybe they're in a bank that doesn't have a bank feed available, maybe they're older generation clients, let's be polite, and they just like paper-based accounts and doing their month on paper-based statements, uploading, scanning the piece of paper, uploading it into AutoEntry, and we on the left-hand side we do the full extraction of the data within that statement. Date, details, debit and credit, running balance, and even if there is check numbers, we extract the check numbers from the transaction line as well. So we'll be able to give you a full verified extraction from a full set of bank statements, which you can, if you're using Sage Cloud Accounting, click a button and it pushes it straight through to Sage, so kind of mimicking the bank feed. Otherwise, you have the download option here, and you can download it to all of the main accounting types or accounting softwares that are available, where it's pre-formatted, ready for you to upload into the accounts package. So for any of those clients that you're still looking at paper-based transactions, or even if you're taking on a new client and you're looking for a year's worth of data to backfill their accounts first before you get up and running on them, absolutely really powerful tool being able to do that. We do have an expense report module built in as well. So for the likes of your clients where they have personal expenses that they need to claim back, a nice, easy, we don't compete against the likes of Concur or Certifier, the huge big expense module or expense apps, but it makes it nice and easy to introduce a expenses module for your clients as well. So that's just a very quick high-level overview on what AutoEntry does. What I'll jump on to, I think Chris has grabbed his screen back there. Yeah, cool.
I have. Thank you very much, Brian. I always love the presentations of AutoEntry in action. I just love the navigation, flipping from one source of information to another. And as an accountant, just so much data available to use. So we're coming to the end of the webinar. We've literally got a couple of minutes to go. I think before we run out of time, Brian, can you sort of quickly explain what offer we've got available and how people could actually access it, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So as it happens, the QR code that's on your screen there now, we do have a 3-month offer. So you get 3 months free for new users on AutoEntry. So if you haven't used or you haven't signed up to AutoEntry before, grab that QR code. Just point your camera on your phone at it, and you'll be able to click on the QR code, and that'll get you the 3 months free. Do be careful because it ends on the 30th, and we're not just saying that because it's because today's the 29th. We've had this offer running for the last month, I think. So it was specifically for the month of June, if memory serves. But it is coming to an end on the 30th. So if you're a brand new user, you haven't used it, grab a link from the QR code and sign up. It gets you a good free trial. You can try it out really well. All the features are there. There's no, we don't hold back features for paid subscriptions or big subscriptions or anything like that. You get the full experience and see exactly what AutoEntry can do for you.
Thank you, Brian. Now, on the demo, we could effectively see on the drop-down list that AutoEntry will effectively work with every bookkeeping solution almost out there. As I don't think there's nothing you deal with, which basically raises the question, which naturally your accounting firms will get clients who may want to use AutoEntry themselves because they may be of a certain size and volume where the accountant may not be doing the bookkeeping. So can accountants get clients to use AutoEntry all by themselves? Is that effective? Is that a process which you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an awful lot of businesses who sign up to AutoEntry themselves. We serve small and medium business owners as well as accountants, bookkeepers, etc. But very much so, if we're aware that you probably might only do the actual bookkeeping for a small percentage of your clients, but an awful lot more do their own bookkeeping. And in that respect, we have a partner program that's available to practices where they can, their clients can sign up and their clients pay and their clients have managed the subscription and everything else, but you get a monthly rebate depending on how many clients of yours use the partner program. So of course, when you try it out, you can use the free trial, you can use it for your own practice even to get used to it first before rolling it out to your clients. And one of our team members, I think, is Catherine. She'll probably kill me if it's not her, but she looks after all of our partner practices as well. And she'd be more than happy to go through kind of an introduction on what the partner program is and how to get up and running on it with your clients.
Thank you, Brian. So hopefully you've created a bit of excitement with the attendees this afternoon about the benefits of being a little bit more digital and the power that AutoEntry brings. But some of the questions I usually get asked by accountants is, I see the value, but my clients may not. How do I get them to be a little bit more digital? I think it comes down to actually stepping in their shoes. As you said, they're looking for growth. They want to be more productive and more efficient. They want access to the information. So therefore, asking those questions, what are their goals? What are their KPIs? Where do they want to be? And actually how you can use digital tools to help them achieve them. But also you'll be working with clients who will be more digital savvy. So you'll have those stories. And I think those stories are so powerful to advocate the benefits of being a little bit more digital. And we talk about digital, we cannot end a webinar, I include a webinar, not talking about MTD. So even though MTD for ITSA has been deferred and it's been rephased and it's not coming into April 2026, HMRC's intention is to actually go on board and carry on with Making Tax Digital. So with our extra time back to actually perform more practice consultation and understand where our clients can be, I think it's really important not to be worried, but control the narrative with MTD. So we're actually ready and on board and ready in a second when MTD is actually arriving. So thank you all for joining today's webinar. Just gone slightly over the hour, but hopefully you found it really informative and useful. And if you need any queries, just reach out to Sage Auto Entry and we'll do our best to answer them. So have a great afternoon and thank you very much. Goodbye.